Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Jaster, and I am the Executive Director at Illinois Art Station. And today I'm joined by,
My name is Becca, and I'm the Communication Specialist at Illinois Art Station.
and today we're really excited to share with you the first video in a series we're calling Behind the Canvas. And it's an opportunity for us to show you a bit of behind the scenes at Illinois Art Station and what it takes to produce arts programming, work with the community. Really, anything that's happening behind the scenes, behind the canvas, we will feature on this series. We'll have new videos every month, and if there's anything that is of particular interest to you, we would love for you to send an email with some questions or post them in the comments or send a message. However works best for you. We would love to hear from you, and if there's particularly burning topics of interest, then we will definitely tackle that. For our first video, we did want to take a look at how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected IAS and arts organizations a little more broadly. The way these will work is Becca's going to ask me a few questions, about 5. I'll try to answer them, and we will go from there. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started.
All right. Okay, Laura, the first question is, how did and how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected Illinois Art Station?
Yeah, so I think like most arts organizations, the immediate effect of COVID-19 was sort of a full stop on everything that we were doing. I'm fairly new to the organization, so I wasn't here in March when COVID-19 became a huge aspect of our lives. But I know that we went from doing a program where we were seeing 400 kids every week to just not doing it. All those unknowns are really scary, and they're also really daunting. And I think as we went along and everyone went along, we realized that you can't put a full stop on everything forever. And so we had to start rethinking how we did what we do. And that's been a real interesting challenge for us, because arts engagement and arts education feels and is so hands-on. So much of it is about having that personal connection with the educator or the artist. All this programming that we were doing and all this engagement that we had, and having to start that rethinking process of what do we do in a reality where we can't be in person, or if we are in person, it's with very limited numbers. And, we have to sanitize everything in between every use, and, all these logistical things that have to be considered that before you never would have thought about. Like, I don't think anyone ever would have thought, oh, I can't reuse these crayons because this kid just used them, and now I have to, like, what do you mean I can't? So, there's a lot of new things as we've navigated this current situation.
Yeah, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what has IAS done differently in response to COVID?
This has provided us with the opportunity to design different programming than we probably ever would have before. Initially in the spring, when we shut everything down, our first response was, well, let's try to do some videos. Let's get something on YouTube or on our social media that is highlighting an activity that children and families can do together. And we've made these relatively quick videos to share with the public. And I think they kind of sparked, for us at IAS anyway, the thought that we can do more, we can stretch outside of our comfort zone, So that was kind of the first thing that we did, was let's get some videos, some digital content that we can share. When we moved into summer, we kind of used summer as a hiatus, kind of a time to regroup and rethink where we wanted to be in the fall. Summer was also a huge unknown for everyone, I think, because we weren't sure if our school's going to be in session in the fall. Will they be online still? Can we do things in person? No one really knew. I think everyone hoped that we would be in person, but I think in the back of our minds, everyone kind of knew that probably wouldn't happen, but we didn't know for sure. But with that in mind, we then decided, is there a way that we can utilize Zoom and other sort of digital meeting formats and have art engagement with children? And so it was this kind of huge experiment. How do we do that? Can we do that? And so we developed what we call our at-home programs. Many people might be familiar with our popular ITSY program, which we've done before in partnership with the Bloomington and Normal public libraries, where we work with young children, 5 and under, and we engage in social and emotional development and pre-literacy skills with art. And so we took that ITSE program and we did an ITSE at home. So every other week, we would have art educators zooming in live with a group of small kids making art together. And then we also did a companion program for after school audiences, and we called AA3, which stands for Art After 3. So like after 3 p.m. after school. So that was for children, youth ages 6 and up, 6 to 12 roughly. And so every other week we would have an art educator zooming in with kids. And we didn't really know how it was going to go, and it was kind of a little bit of a slow start, because I don't think people really expected IAS to do that, and they didn't really know to look for it. But that's how we kind of approached this. And throughout the course of the fall semester, I think we really gained a lot of traction with those programs. And I think it was great for the kids too, because even though many of them were doing all of their schooling via Zoom, or were only able to see family on a screen, having that hands-on tactile moment as part of the process, I think really kept it from feeling like just another video call or just another screen time moment. So I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. Obviously, again, it's not something that we here at IAS ever thought we would really do, but I'm glad that we were brave enough to take that step, and that our art educators were totally on board with giving it a try. And we're going to do them again in the spring. Hopefully after the spring, we'll be able to think about in-person things again, but
fingers crossed.
right. Yeah. But for the foreseeable future, we're going to kind of perfect this format and work within it. And, we also are doing a program for families. So we'll use the Zoom format for families to have a chance to engage with art and each other. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out too. So, we're being flexible and trying new things. And, at the end of the day, like, art educators and people in the arts are very creative and engaged thinkers. And I think that really works well for us.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I never would have imagined having an art class online, and I think that we've done a really good job of doing that. So hats off to us. Okay, the next question is, how have the arts been affected by COVID, just generally?
I think it's no secret that a lot of arts and humanities organizations have been pretty impacted by COVID. I know that a lot of different organizations and sectors have been hit really hard, and the arts are definitely no exception. Arts organizations and other cultural organizations are closing their doors permanently. There's a huge revenue loss for arts organizations, that economic impact for both larger organizations as well as individuals. A lot of artists, performing artists especially, their work is totally reliant on being able to be in front of an audience, in front of a group of people. And now that we're in a situation where those kinds of gatherings are not possible, that's a huge impact on the livelihood of that one individual, but also, the whole area. And, interesting to think about is that, a lot of times when we as a society or as individuals are faced with these really challenging times, we kind of look to the arts, or we look to these humanities as a means of escape, or as a way to kind of cope and grapple with things that are hard to talk about or hard to process. And so at a time when I think we really need them, we need performances, we need to be able to make and look and think about art, we're at the same time faced with a lot of barriers to doing that. So it's this very challenging moment where I personally think that we really need it, and it's being kind of cut off at the knees in a lot of ways. So I think that the story will have a positive ending at some point where, we'll be able to get back together, and we'll be in person, and we'll be able to see and make and watch and experience again. If you can support your local arts organizations, or if you are able to give of time or resources to keep some of these organizations open, then now is a really great time to do that. Like, weathering this storm is really important, but once the storm is over, you're going to see a lot of benefit to having those organizations still around. So I would just encourage people to be thinking about how they can help in that way. And even if it's just, sharing of social media posts.
Yes, you kind of touched on this a little bit, and I know that we both understand the importance of the arts, especially at a time like this. But how would you explain to others the role that the arts are playing at this time?
Yeah, Yeah, I think what I would probably say is, or ask people to think about is like, when you're not feeling your best or when you're feeling discouraged or upset, like what is something that you do or look to? And it might be playing music, it might be watching a movie, or it might be doodling, or kind of any of these things that have a deep connection to the arts, even if you don't maybe see it right away. And so if that's your kind of immediate go-to when you're feeling kind of down on a normal day, imagine just kind of extend that to this moment where we're all faced with challenges that go beyond the normal every day. And so I think that's what I would encourage people to think about is, we may not always think of the arts first, like they might become kind of tangential to our existence generally, but they're always there and they always kind of provide an outlet. So, even if you're just someone who doodles in a meeting at work or in the middle of class, like that's an artistic outlet, that's creation making. And I think those things feel really powerful, especially at a time when it seems like things are being kind of destroyed or taken apart, to be able to spend time putting something back together or making something new that you enjoy or that's beautiful to you or to others. Like that's a really powerful thing. And I think we might benefit from thinking about the role that arts play in that kind of creative and creation moment, in the face of things feeling like they're crumbling around us.
Yeah. And I think kind of going off of that, a lot of people find themselves with extra time on their hands because they aren't doing all the other extracurricular or the other things that they would be doing with people. They don't have the time, or they aren't able to do that, so they have more time. And there are so many people on social media that are starting Etsy shops or starting to share their art in new forms. So this is a really good time to kind of lean into that artistic ability that you may not even realize that you have, and just the benefits that come from it are really amazing.
Yeah,
All right,
I would
our
totally
last,
agree with that.
yeah, I mean, there's so much more time, might as well take advantage of it. Okay, our last question will be, what can we expect from Illinois Art Station moving forward?
Yeah, so that's probably the most exciting thing is that, for us as an organization, this is a really exciting moment, COVID aside. We are in the process of building and a brand new facility that will hopefully be ready to open its doors sometime in the middle of 2021. So that's probably the most exciting thing. So moving forward, we actually will have a physical place, which we've not had before, of our own, where we can have programming and invite members of the community to come in and experience art making, art engagement in a variety of different ways. And so that's probably the most exciting and biggest thing that people can look forward to from IAS. I mean, I think what's really exciting is, we're looking to a future where we can all connect again in person. And so that's what we're kind of holding on to. And, I know that the pandemic's not going away tomorrow. It's going to be around for a while. We're going to have to live with the repercussions of this for a while. And so it may not be, it may not look the way we envision it right away. I'm sure there'll be social distancing and masking and other precautionary measures that will have to be considered, that we'll take very seriously. But, we are looking to that future where we can connect again and experience art in person, because I do think that that's really important. I love that Zoom has provided us an opportunity to engage with people in a socially distant and safe way, but seeing and experiencing art in person is a pretty powerful moment that we will all, I think, really want and benefit from in the future. But, with that, we're going to be doing new programming. So, we are developing new programs for middle school students and high school students that will hopefully start in the spring. So, we're also thinking about new ways to engage with different audiences and groups. And so those things are really exciting. So we'll see that coming down the line. Hopefully, we'll continue to think creatively about how we can engage the community with the arts, the visual arts. And so who knows, there might be something that we haven't even thought of yet that IAS will be doing in the months to come that will be really exciting to share and talk about.
Awesome, thank you. Well, that was our final question for our first interview.
Yeah, well, that's really exciting. I know this will be like a fun series, I think. So I hope everyone continues to check back in. And, we have a lot of different ideas for topics to talk about. I mentioned our building project. So for sure, we'll talk about that a little more in depth as the time goes on. So come back and check that out. But like I said at the beginning, if there is any topic that you think it would be interesting to know related to Illinois Art Station, we would be happy to talk about it. And you can share just a topic or if there's a specific question, we can look at that as well. So thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone enjoyed hearing a little bit about how Illinois Art Station has navigated the COVID situation and, you know, the different things that we've done to keep arts engagement a part of the lives of the children and youth in our community.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.